Well, hello there. Today's Friday, March 10th. We're about 2 hours after the New York Open, and I just closed out a short position that I was in. I was trying to get my OBS to start up and record, and then I realized after a couple minutes that I was muted, so lost a lot of audio. I'll go ahead and do a recap of what happened. Looking at the 1 minute chart here, I started uh, front running the short as it was coming up here at 12:44. I went in, and you see it went against me for a while, and I just kept adding in. I did a quick scalp out, doing a LIFO kind of averaging out, but I was still in pretty deep with one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 contracts by the time the A plus signal comes up. And if you'll remember, my A plus signal for a reversal is as the fast moving average that I have comes up and it starts to kind of flatten out a little bit, but also peel away. The pivot tops are further away from the Bollinger Band, and you can kind of see the Bollinger Band go from a steep 45-degree up to maybe a 40, then a 35, and once this pivot was made, which means this red candle was below this small doji candle right there at that would be 11:35 Eastern time at 10 or 12,072, 73. Once it that I knew I could just get in, so I just smacked the buttons. Well, I went short a couple more contracts, and then I wasn't thinking I'd be here very long, so I just started scaling out and just took a quick profit. At the end of it, the trade netted. This is on the 5 minute chart. Another $125 from where I started. But as you can see, if I had held on, I would have netted quite a bit with the 6 or 7 contracts that I was in at 70, 60 points. MNQ is worth $2 a point at 7 contracts, so even if I ran it to $10, that's $700 drop. But that's not how I trade. Just because as I was scaling out, I had 1 contract left after my last scale out down here, and it went back up. I tried to get back in. I have this limit order, and it was just less than a point away from tapping it. I should have moved it down to about there, which would have been the, let me zoom in here, just below here, this pocket that's performed here. Or if you do FVG, the fair value gap, it would have been at the a very top of that fair value gap band right there. So that would have been a good re-entry. I tried to, and just was messing with OBS at the same time, and didn't. Either way, my target was right there, which was front running this lower Bollinger Band. I had set the target all the way back here because of the pokes back here, the Bollinger Band pokes. So I was fine getting out at 1241 or 12,041. Now, this was as I was starting my recording, I told myself that I was getting in early right here, and I did. As you can see, it ran up for another 30 or so points, almost 40 points from where I started entering in. But I'm trading, the MNQ, the micro Nasdaq futures contract, which is worth $2 a point. So at this point I was 80 deep for that 1 contract. This was another, let's say 80, 160, you know, 250. So I was in pretty deep risk wise, but I had a good feeling that this was going to change, and part of that was the 5 minute had recently come off the bottom, and the tendency, from my experience, is just there's already been a couple pushes up, and at some point, not far from where I started getting in, it was going to turn back down on the 5 minute. And I've been trading the 5 minute more often the last couple days here. So that's the trade right there. Sorry I didn't have that recording. So it was about you could say $125 in from 9:30 my time to about 9:40. So 15 minutes, $125. I could have gotten like I said, couple hundred more just a minute or two later. And it always happens, right? Like fear and greed comes into play. Recap for the week. The week was rough. I blew one eval account, and so I had an Apex 12, which was a 150K account. I was messing with some Globex stuff, trading the full NQ, and I lost the account yesterday. And then I was a fool and revenge traded the Apex 13 here and lost a couple thousand. I think it was like 2,000. So I'm a down, but then I worked my way back overnight, um, which I normally don't do. I was almost going to give up on the account because the renewal was coming up, and I was thinking, well, if I'm already so far away from my high, my trailing drawdown has already been reduced, I might as well just start over. And if I'm going to start over, I might as well go out with a bang. And so overnight, let me see on the 5 minute here. Actually, let me cancel this order first. So market opened for Globex right about here, I think. Yeah, somewhere in here is when I got to my computer. So 960. I was just scalping, and then at some point before I went to bed, I got in a good average, scalping in and out, and I was about, like 932. Then I woke up, or I had some limit orders to exit, and when there was a push up on the European Open, I got out of 3 contracts with 2 left at this point, so I'm up like $300 or $400, and then it runs up overnight to a high of here overnight at so another $200 from where the 2 o'clock Eastern limit orders were hit, limit targets. I went ahead and just stopped or just took profit there because of the news that was coming at 8:30 Eastern. At that time, I just again traded like a fool, knowing that I was, or thinking that I was just gonna, clear the account and start over. Um, that wasn't a good idea. I got some long scalps in, and then everything went against me. So I loaded up going long, and it fell. I don't know how far down I was, probably 2,000 more dollars. So, but I'd already decided I was going to start over, which there was no emotion there. When I came back from running an errand, prices started kicking up again, so I started getting out of my 10 plus contracts, just scaled out, and then I scalped through this range here, knowing that or believing that there's going to be a bounce up to where we ended up. So I scalped 20 points, 1 or 2 contracts up and down, and worked my way above to where I started the New York Open at. So as you can see, if I held from my very top, been close to 100 points, with 5, 6 contracts. But that's neither here or there. Again, going back to the 1 minute, when I started getting in on the short, let me zoom in again, about this time right here at 11:30 Eastern, I knew it was going to run up some more. I should have just either held for the emotional roller coaster, not so much a roller coaster because I had a thesis that it was going to do this, but I wanted to get in and not miss it. Like right here, I'm going to go ahead and short because of this action right here. This long leg down with a short pullback of 23.8, and then it broke that previous low of that original leg down. That to me signifies that there's more movement down. Now, of course, I normally don't trade this. I do reversals. I would have gone long here and played the kickback to 12,008 or 12,000 at least. But because I'm being recorded, or I'm recording myself, I'm going to do something different, which is to go with the trend. So the target, actually, let me put this back on, will be, I'm just going to shoot for the extension of the original leg down to 70. I'm just gonna go. Oh, it's not very much, but for me, this is a big um, kind of difference. I'm gonna scale in here as well. Oops, wanted that. Go and do that instead. All right. So this might take another little bit of time to play out as well because of the market's memory in my mind is still recently it was on an upswing, and then this drop was now it's like it's a good deal mentally to some people. On the VIX, that's also suspicious too. It looks like it'll turn with a pullback before it makes a continuation up. If it is going to continue to go up, probably pulls back to about this point. So I am uncertain about this because of how much it's slowing down. I'm gonna just skunk it right there. Take a whopping, 2 points out of that, and you know, and then I'll just talk through what is happening. So normally right here, I would, like I said, go long. Just play the scalp from this point back up to about the low 90s. And it probably will work, you know. But again, this original move down and this small, 23.8 pullback. Let me show that again. Um, oops, what happened? Oh, wrong one. All right. This pullback to exactly 23.8 from the low to this point here, maybe by a point or two. That signifies a move down still. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to go long about the low 70, where my original target was. I'm going to go long right there, see if I get it, or I get an entry. It doesn't look promising, and but again, it's good to talk through this and record it and then be able to replay it back later. So my original short would have still failed, at this point. I wouldn't have hit my target. At best, maybe, give or take 10 points instead of the 2 points I got out with. And it's close enough to the lower Bollinger Band that I can, take this quick scalp here on the long side. If it's going to make another move down, my my observation would be it has to come down first, do another pullback to probably about the top of this area, the 1210, 1220, and then make its continuation down. All right, so let's check out the 1 minute and see. Ooh, I have a lot of orders here. That could have been bad. I was shorting with a standing order there. All right, VIX looks like it still has a good curvature to the fast moving. It might do a small pullback and then keep going up. So, I don't know. If it gets to 1208, I will short from there. But if it first gets down here to the 1270 or 970, I will go long for a quick scalp for, I don't know, 10 plus points, at least to the bottom of this original leg down. That's the way I would play it. I'm going to go ahead and just mark it in and then cancel that. Then I'm going to take a quick scalp, 977. I'm going to go with, do that, 85. Let's see, would I have gotten entered in? I might have gotten entered in with my original limit there. Okay, so this is the tricky point. I could be wrong completely, and it could fly all the way down. VIX looks like it's got some movement up still. So I'm gonna go ahead and average in. Nope. I was gonna average in at, for 10 point below from my first entry. But this is just a note that my original read was kind of right, or is right. The leg down, there were some, pullbacks there, not a big one, and then kind of went sideways for a little bit, and then it finally hit the target at the 23.8 extension of the original leg down. We'll give it a couple more minutes here. Forgot about the tunes. For those that are curious, I'm just playing the copyright, lo-fi streaming music you can find on or YouTube. So this is the one I'm playing. I know a lot of streamers start with music like that. It's kind of nice. I appreciate. Oh, almost got it. Gonna skunk it for a small gain, 6 points if I can get it. Nope. Oh, got it. 77 to 82. So 5 points, 7 points total in that indecision of going long versus going short. One of the things that I do look for, yeah, that would have worked out, is I could have waited for it to punch through this lower Bollinger Band as it came up to meet it. Kind of, I might have missed that particular poke, but I could have came in and set it up right there at 970. Now what I think can happen is at this point, at the 88 mark, it reverses and goes down completely, continues with the move down. The things that I see is normally it'll come up to the top of the Bollinger Band, waffle a bit, and then continue down. With this bars moving kind of sideways and down without actually pulling back to the midline of the Bollinger Band, my guess is that it's not gonna get back to the top of the Bollinger Band. If we look at the fast moving cloud at the bottom here, you can see the slope. This to me has always shown its hand to be a downward movement almost immediately. There's no curving and flattening out, pointing up before coming down. This is more of almost a straight down. But we'll see. I'm just recording, observations at this point. As for our account, not much has changed from where we started the recording. We're still at 1162 for the day. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here if there's anything that's promising. Oh, I did forget to mention. Past one of the, well, maybe I mentioned it. On my Apex 6 eval, I did pass it. It was a 50K account. I needed $3,000 profit goal, and I hit that yesterday in between my horrible trading of busting an eval and taking a big loss on my other 150K. This one that's now up, it's only back halfway. I did pass the Apex 6, so I'm going to get another eval. And then I finally started trading the previous eval I got, which was a 25K eval, which only has a 1500 drawdown. I was hesitant to even finish that one. I was only a few dollars away before the renewal came up. I paid for the renewal, passed it like 2 days later, and paid for the data fee. Fortunately, with Apex, there's a one-time data fee, and for this one, I think it was like 140. And this one, their site shows all the values, so this one is at least 140, 50, or 160, somewhere in there. One-time fee, so I'll just work these slowly. over the next couple weeks, couple months to make my money back, while I learn to trade the 150K appropriately. Then I'm also working on this other 50K, the Apex 8. I'm about 700 away. I was 500 away, and then, had some continued revenge tilt trading and lost 200 on it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just call it a week, call it a day, call it a week. Wasn't the best. I did pass one Apex account, but the rest was, the first 3 or 4 days, 3 days was great. The last day, yesterday was horrible on the news. We'll look to improve that next time. Thank you. Peace.